Oh, Christ alive. What now? Another TYT video with a 50-50 like and dislike ratio. U.S. knew all along about Ukrainian plan to attack Nord Stream pipelines. Okay, to be honest with you, I haven't actually looked into the Nord Stream thing at all because I don't really care. I guess I could believe that anyone sabotaged it. Has there been any real evidence of anyone doing it in particular? The last thing that I saw was Jackson Hinkle posting a photo of a like rusty, disgusting boot buried in the water, and they were like, "This is an American boot, therefore America blew it up," or something like that. Like, that's the extent of the evidence that I'm familiar with. I get, like, anyone could have done it, and I don't really care. There's a claim Biden knew for 3 months Ukraine was planning to attack the pipeline. Well, do you think this video covers that topic? Let's find out.
Indicates that 3 months before the Nord Stream pipeline was bombed last September, a close ally to the Biden administration informed the White House about a Ukrainian military plan to essentially launch a covert attack on the undersea network. Now, they would use a small team of divers who would report to the commander-in-chief of the...
Quick question, by plan, what do we mean exactly? Because America, like the Pentagon has plans to invade Canada. Like, military organizations create plans for contingencies. That's the thing they do. That's what they're paid to do. They have plans. Are we talking about, like, just a plan? Or are we talking about something they planned to do? Because those are two, because that's a very important distinction, you know?
Ukrainian armed forces. How do we know about this? How do we know that the White House was briefed on this? Well, it's thanks to the leak that happened on Discord. Let me give you more details on that. Details about the plan.
Plan 8888, also known as Counter-Zombie Dominance, is a U.S. Department of Defense Strategic Command CONOP document that describes a plan for the nation and its military defending against any zombies. That's true, by the way. This is one of the reasons that I can't really get into zombie apocalypse films, where it's like, oh, you know, no one was prepared. That's not true. There is a desk staffer at the Pentagon who has spent his entire life perfecting like 78 different types of zombie like defensive strategies. And he, the moment the word go, the moment corpses start shambling around Times Square, that shit is getting enacted pronto, okay? This is his one job, and he's good at his job, too.
Which have not been previously reported, were collected by a European intelligence service and shared with the CIA in June of 2022. The European intelligence reporting was shared on the chat platform Discord, allegedly by Air National Guard member Jack Teixeira. The Washington Post obtained a copy from one of Teixeira's online friends. Now, what did that document indicate? Well, it did indicate that the Ukrainian military had a plan in place to essentially carry out this attack on Nord Stream 1 specifically. So the intelligence report was based on intel obtained by an individual in Ukraine. The officials in the United States have confirmed this document and I guess the veracity of the document. It is confirmed. It's not some fake, document that, someone's trying to plant as a hoax. The intelligence report or the sources for the information could not be immediately corroborated, but the CIA shared the report with Germany and other European countries last June. Okay, so this is intel that was shared not only with the United States, but also with our European allies. Now, according to the leaked documents, the Ukrainians had planned to attack the pipeline on the heels of a major allied naval exercise known as Baltops, which ran from June 5th to 17th of 2022, according to the report. The intelligence summary says that the Ukrainian military operation was put on hold for reasons that remain unclear.
Okay.
And I want to just stop for a second and provide this caveat. Although we have this document, although we know the Ukrainian military was planning to, conduct this operation and attack the Nord Stream pipeline, it is still not 1000% confirmed that they're the ones behind it. If we were to speculate though, I would speculate that they were behind it. And I'll tell you why as I give you more details. Cenk, do you want to jump in real quick?
Yeah.
The only info that's been provided so far is that We think Ukraine did it because of information that was contained in documents that the United States shared with allies and was made public 8 months ago. They just said they had plans for Nord Stream 1 when Nord Stream 2 is the pipeline that was attacked. Nord Stream 1, Nord Stream 2. Yeah, they're both in the water. Please explain why it matters if it's true. Why is it bad even if they did it? Because, so Nord Stream is a pipeline that is supposed to connect, like, Russian gas over to the European market, and the argument is that Ukraine destroyed it because not having access to the natural gas provided by Russia would provide an additional incentive for Europe to see the destruction of Russia because they're no longer, like, you know, holding on. It's a complicated thing. I haven't covered it that much, mostly because in the absence of, like, a definite contender for who did it, I feel like I don't have that much to say. Do you think TYT would be considered realists or liberals? Right now, I think they'd be considered dumb fucks. I don't know what's been going on with them lately.
You know, I hesitate even calling it speculation. They have pretty overwhelming evidence.
Yeah, you're going to hear it in a minute.
Yeah, it's not
okay,
just
I want to hear it.
Several different things that confirm that it's in that direction. Plus common sense, guys. I mean, common sense always told you.
Common sense. Again, to be clear, if somebody gave me evidence that Ukraine did it, I would be like, oh, okay, like, yeah, they have reason to. I just want to see the evidence. That's all. Like that's it. Like if this video continues and they show me evidence, then I will be like, okay, all right, you know.
The Russians are not likely to blow up their own multi-billion-dollar pipelines.
They would have reason to do that, potentially.
Just to do a false flag and I got you on Ukraine. And the consequences of this.
They do false flags all the time. They did it before the Chechen conflict. They blew up their own apartment buildings. They did it multiple times before invading Ukraine. They love their false flags. They love that shit.
This, as it relates to how the West is going to support Ukraine, is also very interesting. But for now, for me, I think the issue is settled. It is very, very likely that the Ukrainians, and I'm on the Ukrainian side. I want them to win. I think it was terrible that they were invaded, but I'm not sure this was a good idea.
So
can I see
when Cenk mentions that there are now multiple sources, it's not just this document that was leaked by Teixeira. The German government also conducted their own investigations, and we're going to get to the findings of that investigation in just a moment. So again, going back to the document, all those involved reported directly to General Valery Zaluzhny, which is the country's highest-ranking military officer. They did not want Zelensky to know about this, according to the document. They wanted everyone to report specifically to this military general who was put in charge so that Ukraine's president, Zelensky, wouldn't know about the operation, the intelligence report said. Okay, so keeping Zelensky out of the loop would have given the Ukrainian leader basically a plausible way to deny that Ukraine was behind it. So if Zelensky's been denying it, there is a plausible reason why he's doing so. He might not have known that they had conducted this attack. Now, before the war, Germany got half of its natural gas.
Please tell me you have evidence that isn't just they had a plan 8 months ago
from Russia, and also had long championed the project in the face of opposition from other European allies. And so Germany finding out that Ukraine was behind it would be a little bit disastrous, because right now Germany obviously is supporting Ukraine. Now, according to German law enforcement officials investigating.
Does Biden know every military operation that America has? Stuff we know for a fact historically that stuff has been kept secret from the presidency before. So yeah, the Pentagon and other military organizations are perfectly capable of operating independently of the commander-in-chief, though those things tend to be the exception rather than the rule. Obviously, it is generally a good idea to have your commander-in-chief on board with whatever military operation you're planning on doing. Didn't Germany not even activate the pipelines yet? Yeah, Nord Stream 2 was never turned on, right? Never, like, fully finished it? On September 2022, Danish and Swedish authorities reported a number of explosions at pipes A and B of the Nord Stream 1 pipeline and pipe A of the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, which resulting damage caused significant gas leaks. The EU considers this incident to be sabotage, one of the worst releases of methane gas in human history. That's probably not good. Gas deliveries ceased in September 2022 following the destruction of 3 of the pipelines and sanctions that linked to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. As of February 2023, there was no conclusive evidence as to who carried out the sabotage, despite 3 separate investigations by Denmark, Sweden, and Germany. Do you think that, like, everyone did it? like a bunch of like divers are swimming through the murky water with depth charges to plant on the Nord Stream pipeline, and then like German, American, Ukrainian, and Russian guys all meet right at the same time. And they all just kind of nod and plant their explosives. That'd be nice. A little bit of togetherness.
The September Nord Stream bombing. Key details emerging of that operation actually do line up quite a bit with this intel report. So let's get to that. The Ukrainian individual that informed the European Intelligence Service in June said that 6 members of Ukraine Special Operations Forces using false identities intended to rent a boat and using a submersible vehicle dived to the floor of the Baltic Sea, then damaged or destroyed the pipeline and escape undetected. In addition to oxygen, the team planned to bring helium, which is recommended for especially deep dives. Now let's get to the German investigation.
Is that the entire plan? Wait. This sounds like this sounds like a GTA mission. This sounds like a plan I would come up with. This is what the Ukrainian military came up with? Guys, what if we all wore Groucho Marx glasses with the mustache, and then we get a boat, and then like a submarine, I guess? Oh yeah, just get a submarine. You know, like find one, just hijack one, like get on top and do the QuickTime event, and then get inside of it. And then damage or destroy the pipeline. Like that. I mean, these are leaked documents, right? I just feel like it should be a little more substantial than this. Like maybe a specific part of the pipeline or... So, because that would actually be like a pretty dead ringer. Like if the plan said a specific coordinate location of the pipeline they felt was easiest to target, and that was like where the explosions happened, you know? That would be pretty damning. I just want to see some evidence.
Let's get to the German investigation. German investigators now believe that 6 individuals using fake passports rented a sailing yacht in September, embarked from Germany, and planted explosives that severed the pipelines, according to officials familiar with that investigation.
Okay.
They believe that operatives were skilled divers, given that the explosives were planted at a depth of about 240 feet, in the range that experts say helium would be helpful for maintaining mental focus. And Ukraine...
Can you believe Ukraine's plan said they should get a boat and they should dive? And then in reality, the investigation showed they did indeed get a boat and dived to attack the undersea pipeline. I don't get the attitude Vosh has, like he's seeking to disagree with TYT on this when it's not like either the TYT or Vosh cares if Ukraine blew up the pipeline. No, I don't care if Ukraine blew up the pipeline. I care how people cover this incident. I can't say I've ever had like a high opinion of TYT, right? They're not exactly a socialist org, but I do think that this is just from the Washington Post. My camera's blocking it, but right there she's just reading this conspiracism. Oh, we know for sure Ukraine has done it. It's weird because I don't think that TYT historically has engaged in behavior like this. Like, I've always thought of TYT as like, I don't know, resistance libs, right? Like pro-BLM, feminist, not perfect, pro-Dem, militantly pro-Dem, almost. But like for the most part, fairly level. Like most of the reasons in the past that I've disagreed with them has been down to a lack of radical politics, not because I thought they were conspiratorial or reactionary. And yet, I mean, I want to see the evidence, man.
Obviously had reason to want to bomb this pipeline. So Ukraine had long complained that Nord Stream would allow Russia to bypass Ukrainian pipes, depriving Kyiv of huge transit revenue. Also, investigators have matched explosive residue found on the pipeline to traces found inside the cabin of the yacht called Andromeda. And they have linked Ukrainian individuals to the rental of the boat via an apparent front company in Poland.
See, that sounds more interesting.
Investigators also suspect that at least one individual who serves in the Ukrainian military was involved in the sabotage operation.
All right, here we go. Washington Post, Nord Stream. German investigators, 6 individuals, fake passports, linked Ukrainian individuals to the rental of the boat via an apparent front company in Poland. Investigators, where's the investigation? Yeah, it is great that the far right doesn't paywall anything, but yeah, New York Times and Washington Post do, making it harder to get at info. I can't read this shit. I just want to know more about the investigation. Gonna learn German? I've tried to. Here we go. That's English? Yeah. Traces of evidence. The German report said the yacht had been rented from a company based in Poland that is, quote, apparently owned by 2 Ukrainians. The German media reports, which come to the top of a New York Times report Tuesday that says intelligence suggests a pro-Ukrainian group sabotaged the pipeline, stress there's no proof that Ukrainian authorities ordered the attack or were involved to do it. So is the evidence provided here that the boat was apparently owned by 2 Ukrainians? Is that the same investigation? They have linked Ukrainian individuals to the rental of the boat via an apparent front company in Poland. Wait, does anyone else feel like that's really weirdly phrased? If the claim is the company from which the boat was rented are apparently owned by 2 Ukrainians, but then it gets phrased as they have linked Ukrainian individuals to the rental of the boat via an apparent front company, doesn't that come across as kind of like weird? Like it jumps from some Ukrainian guys ran the boat company to there have been links between Ukrainian individuals. That's, I don't know, involvement by Ukraine. Pro-Ukrainian group was investigators and explosives run by 6 people professionally forged passports for a Polish company with 2 Ukrainian owners. The yacht named Andromeda is said to have left Roxanne at 6 September. There's a bunch of unpronounceable names of shit. They further cited a named lieutenant commander of the Danish Navy and analyst at the Royal Danish Defence College for several reasons why it's not credible. Such a small vessel was used for the sabotage. Hundreds of kilograms of explosives were used. Traces of explosives were found on the yacht. The yacht is being kept in a German dry dock for investigation. Interesting. In May 2023, the German newspaper Süddeutsche Zeitung reported the German authorities were investigating a theory the attack was carried out with the involvement of a state security service of Ukraine. The investigation reportedly involved a yacht named Andromeda. That's the yacht mentioned up here. The docked in nearby Marina. And a Warsaw shell company founded by 2 Ukrainians. Founded by is different from works at or owns or trace to. Okay, wait. The only thing the Wikipedia article corroborates in the Ukrainian section is that the company from which the boat was purchased was founded by 2 Ukrainian guys. That's the only thing they cite here? Then where's this other crap coming from? Investigators also suspect at least 1 individual who serves in the Ukrainian military was involved in the sabotage operation. Based on what? Oh man, we're getting into it now. Again, just to be totally clear, if somebody said, like, here is evidence that Ukraine did it, I wouldn't care and I'd believe it. But it's very strange to me how Anna and Cenk have both been like, yeah, pretty sure, yeah, they obviously did it, you know. When like, this is what we're looking at. And also, the words, they have linked Ukrainian individuals to the rental of the boat via an apparent front company in Poland, when the actual thing that happened was the company was founded by 2 Ukrainians. That's incredibly slimy. Because, like, the wording here implies that they have some kind of active connection between the boat's rental and Ukrainian people, not just, you know, Ukrainians like made the company 5, 10, 20 years ago. It's completely disconnected.
I mean, we've got...
Why wouldn't you care if Ukraine did it? Because I guess because, like, it's, I don't know, even if it was proven to have been the Ukrainian military and not just like pro-Ukrainian dissidents or something, I guess I would just go like, oh, okay. I don't know. And it might help that I hated the pipelines to begin with.
More, we're gonna give you more, but like, come on, guys. I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it looks like we've got an Andromeda strain here. All right, so does Zelensky know? I don't really much care. They say they didn't tell him so they could have plausible deniability, but that's exactly what they would say if they told him and he was part of the decision, and then everybody in the room went, remember, Zelensky wasn't here. Okay, so that also happens. Okay, so we'll never know. We'll probably never know. But it doesn't matter why, because Ukraine did it. If Ukraine did it, it is what it is. Either you couldn't get control of your own government or you were part of the decision. Either way, it's on your government, okay? So that's number one. Number two is we knew ahead of time, the US did, and we either couldn't stop them or we didn't stop them. Now, the Ukrainians not only benefit in terms of the war by blowing this up, but as Anna just read you the quote.
So this is what I mean with like the language that's being used here. It's the exceeding confidence, and then it's the leap from, because two Ukrainian guys founded the company that the boat came from, therefore it was done by the Ukrainian government, like leaping over the idea it might have been pro-Ukrainian dissidents, like right to the government, because there was this incredibly vague plan that they made like a while ago that was made public information a while ago as well. Therefore, like, we failed to stop them. It's this chain of conspiracism, like this like link to link to link to link that indicates like incredibly low intellectual rigor, And by the way, I don't even mind like heavy speculation. There's a lot of stuff that we just aren't ever going to know about, and I don't think that it's acceptable to go like, well, you can never comment on stuff that you don't have an objective, full understanding of, because if that's the case, we wouldn't be able to talk about anything. There's obvious thresholds, especially during wartime when it's hard to access information. But like, well, people in chat seem to understand why I think this is egregious, so I don't need to harp on it.
They also benefit economically. They never liked the pipeline in the first place because it was costing some of the powerful people in Ukraine money. And that's a giant factor here. We also didn't want that pipeline because we want to sell natural gas and other fuels to Europe. So, oh golly gee, did their pipeline blow up? Oh, okay.
Well, in fact, I do want to get to what the White House was up to in terms of messaging on this, because what they were saying publicly differed from what they started to believe privately and internally, okay? So some Biden administration officials, as the Washington Post writes, initially suggested that Russia was to blame for what President Biden called a deliberate act of sabotage, promising that the United States would work with its allies to get to the bottom of exactly what happened.
Okay.
But then Biden administration officials now privately concede there is no evidence that conclusively points to Moscow's involvement, but publicly.
Yeah? What if they had conclusive evidence? I think they would have presented it. Notice the use of the word concede here. This is manufactured consent. This isn't a concession. I don't think they've ever claimed they had conclusive evidence of Moscow's involvement. Blaming Russia and saying we have conclusive evidence that Russia did this are two different things. If they were promising to get to the bottom of exactly what happened, that is an indication that they do not already have conclusive evidence. This Washington Post article is a psyop, okay? This was some pro-Russia shit. The choice of words here is being used to carefully guide the conclusions that you arrive at. Privately concede? What's the concession? Also publicly deflects questions about who might be responsible. In all likelihood, it's just they don't have conclusive evidence and they've already said they think Russia did it, so there's no point in commenting on it further.
That conclusively points to Moscow's involvement, but publicly they have deflected questions about who might be responsible. And look,
and I don't trust this article's definition of deflecting questions, personally.
European allies apparently are no better when it comes to this because they're doing the same thing. This excerpt from this Washington Post piece was telling and incredible. European officials in several countries have quietly suggested that Ukraine was behind the attack.
Okay, again, notice the language that's being used, all right? Imagine if we described, say, MAGA conservatives as American officials. American officials in several states have quietly suggested that George Soros is behind the adrenochrome harvesting scheme that is actually presented as COVID-19 vaccinations. See, when you blur it as just officials, what do you mean? There are tens of thousands of officials in every country. What evidence are they drawing from? What are they using to derive their conclusions? You understand what I'm saying? Now I'm really suspicious about the article because we know for a fact that the article is heavily biased with the way that it's presented the information. Yeah, like AfD officials? Like, what do you mean?
But resisted publicly saying so over fears that blaming Kyiv would fracture the alliance against Russia. At gatherings of European and NATO policymakers, officials have settled into a rhythm, as one senior European diplomat said recently, don't talk about Nord Stream.
See it again? So several European officials, we're not naming them, there are literally hundreds of thousands of officials across all of the EU, just some people, literally, have suggested the possibility that Ukraine might be behind the attack, something that I have done, by the way, but don't discuss it publicly because they don't have any evidence and there's a whole like tense war situation going on. And then they're saying don't talk about it. You note the conspiratorial language that's being used here by Kasparian? Like, this is the most ordinary thing. Hey, some people out of an enormous number of people maybe think this one thing, but they don't really make a huge deal of it and they don't talk about it because they don't have evidence and, like, you know, whatever. It's just some officials. But this is being framed as deliberate silencing. That's the way this is meant to be read.
It's so it's embarrassing. It really is. I mean, come on.
Apparently that's first rule of the European Club is we don't talk about the Nord Stream or maybe the European Club altogether. Anyway.
It's conspiratorial. They're colluding in order to silence discourse. They're talking the way Tucker Carlson does.
Enough movie references. So look, Anna and I had a discussion about the F-16s and whether we should sell them to Ukraine. It wouldn't be us directly, but it'd be other allies, but they'd be selling our F-16s basically, right? And so included with the technology. And one of the reasons we did not sell it before because we were worried they were going to use it inside Russia, and that was going to be deeply problematic. And Anna, you were both a little bit.
This was where Cenk was concerned that our like half a century old fighter jets would be shot down and our tech would be stolen.
Wrong and significantly right in terms of this article and what it shows about what we'll do. You said, oh, come on, we can't stop them from doing anything. And this article shows that on a number of occasions, we actually did pull the Ukrainians back from being more aggressively attacking Russia, inside Russia, okay? So that's the part where you were a little wrong. Apparently we do push back and sometimes we do succeed. But the part you were massively wrong.
Do we? When confronted with a position contrary to that which she has expressed.
Right is, they're dying to attack inside Russia.
They've been doing it with drone strikes and everything.
And that's right.
Yeah.
And we've stopped a lot of it, but we haven't stopped all of it. But the minute they have the F-16s, I mean, it's not the minute. Like, because they still need more weapons from us, they still need more money from us. So we have some leverage over them, but they're itching to attack inside Russia.
So notice how we have seamlessly segued from highly conspiratorial discourse on the Nord Stream pipeline with highly biased language. And now we've gone right back to us giving weapons to Ukraine. Because again, this discussion is not happening in a vacuum. The conspiracism around the Nord Stream thing is meant to segue into and support a general distrust of Ukraine. I have no idea why they've pivoted to this.
All the way into Moscow. And so
it's
the
an
minute those F-16s
escalation of war. It's an escalation of war. All these wannabe leftists running around spouting pro-war rhetoric.
Holy shit. Oh my God, she's actually she's actually done it. She's actually gone all the way over. That is incredible.
To essentially provide cover for an escalation of war. Just understand what you're doing.
Hey Vosh, I think she means Yula Mao. I mean, I'll happily be you know, I'll be branded with the leftist label coming from a lib. Is she even a lib? Like the intellectual rigor at TYT has dropped considerably. It's embarrassing, and I genuinely feel like there might be a gas leak in the building. I don't know if they're just grifting for money or if this is just some genuine like low IQ shit. I don't know if Anna's just gotten hysterical or like someone hit her over the head really hard and Cenk is just riding along because he's like ride or die loyalty, which is how TYT keeps producing lunatic far-right grifters probably. LA studios are expensive. Yeah, they pay a lot for their overhead. I have no idea, but it is wildly it is insane, genuinely. Yeah, get called a birthing person one time in a state document that's not even like referring to you directly. The Ukrainians blew up a gas line in TYT. We are not talking about the actual act of sabotage which took place. The elite team of Ukrainian commandos that destroyed their stove in the rec room. Yeah, it's pretty dumb. Nord Stream 3, which ran all the way from Russia to their kitchen.
You are justifying an escalation of war while pretending like peace negotiations are out of the question. They could never happen. They could never happen.
Man, it's literally just like the Jimmy Dore thing. It just happens to all of them. Maybe it's the same gas leak for all of them. That's wild. I mean, yeah, the peace negotiations where Russia's preconditions are that you have to completely disarm, you can't join NATO, you can't join the EU, and also we reserve the right to re-invade you at any time, and also we keep all the territory we took. Yeah, it's very good faith peace negotiations. Putin, Ukraine, the Donbass, areas where peace negotiations and ceasefires have historically done a lot of good. Where's the pro-Russia shit coming from, man? It's like talking with a tanky.
What happened to the left being anti-war?
Yeah.
And pro-peace? What happened to that?
So the hashtag Anna was right that I was getting to is
You haven't even gotten there. So
no, I have basically, but my point is that in that story, Anna said there's an excellent chance that they will use these F-16s inside Russia once they have them. And after reading this piece and all the evidence of how much they want to attack inside Russia and how little they listen to us, yeah.
Can somebody explain to me why exactly it's surprising that Ukraine will want to attack military positions inside Russia when they're being invaded? You know, generally speaking, in the history of war, if a country invades you, it's generally considered to be like on par for you to attack inside their borders. Like, that's not weird. That's not really like an abnormal thing. You can argue that we wouldn't want that because if Russia felt more threatened, they would I don't know, go nuclear or something. But you also have to consider the possibility that the whole reason we're supporting Ukraine in this conflict to begin with, at least the reason I am, is because I think that Russia unambiguously losing in Ukraine is the path to peace. Because the more embarrassment Putin suffers, the more likely it is he falls out of a window. If striking positions inside Russia is a necessary part of that process, then I think there's an argument for it. That's a pro-peace position.
It's going to get bad. They're going to, I'm not saying definitely, but now I think it's likely that at some point Ukraine will stop listening to us entirely and start attacking inside Russia. And then you got a bigger war.
Absolutely.
And then I don't know
what do you mean bigger war? What do you think Russia, are you like sipping that Vatnik Kool-Aid and you think that Russia has like a secret second larger army that they're going to deploy? Like all those Cope accounts that have been like Russia's teeth have only just begun to be bared, and like it's like they're just going to double invade. What do they think? Well, they do have nukes, yeah, but I think the best way to prevent them from using nukes is to get Putin out.
We're gonna do with that.
All right, but you know,
they do have much more equipment and people they could employ if the support was there for it. Nah, bullshit. Not really. They have barely any morale, and they barely have the supply lines to maintain like their existing war infrastructure. If they were capable of fielding a larger conflict to like super conquer Ukraine, they would have already. They did a whole draft. They did a draft of the entire nation. They're buying ammunition from North Korea, you know? They had one, their most recent, like that military parade of theirs, the loyalist, whatever, the Russian parade, they had one tank. It was like a T-54, Russia parade tank. Victory Day parade. Putin watches a single World War II tank roll down. Oh, it was a T-34. My apologies. I thought it would be like a Cold War era tank, but nope. Ah, yes, see? They deployed this one T-34 because of its symbolic role in helping Russia overcome Nazi Germany. There's no other reason why for this one specific parade they had one single tank and one that's basically military inoperational now. Militarily, yeah. 2024 will have World War I tanks. Yeah, incredible. I think they also have for the Victory Day parade, they also have a thing where like Russian citizens will hold up framed photos of their lost ones, of soldiers who have died in war, and they didn't do it this parade because they didn't want a bunch of people holding up framed photos of 18-year-old conscripts that were just like gunned down in the Donbass, you know? Like they didn't want to remind people that like a ton of people are dying right now. Wait, I just started listening, there's no other tanks? Nope. Better than having a T-14 that breaks during the parade. Yeah, the 2014 one where their new tank broke down. They used to have, they used to have like a lot of tanks in their parade that would just break down. Did you not see the recent violence breaking out between Russia's armies? So Wagner PMC is ambushed by the Russian Army 72nd Brigade. The Russian Army unit loses the minefield ambush in 72nd. Wait, what? PMC Wagner detained and interrogated by the commander of the 72nd. What? That happened before? The Wagner group is fighting with the military? That's somehow even funnier, PRFC. It was confirmed 2 days ago. Okay, if Wagner and the Russian armed forces are like directly fighting, that seems like things are ogre then. It's Jover, man. They detained the man, beat him, broke his nose, and forced to record a video admitting to firing at a car of PMC Wagner due to personal animosity. Oh, they detained and interrogated the commander of the 72nd Brigade. That would unironically be a prelude to a civil war. Well, the Wagner guy has been screaming about, like, the elites in Moscow for a while now. Anyway, let's finish the stupid video.
Apparently, the left-wing position now is Russia bad, Ukraine good, so regardless of what Ukraine...
Oh my god, it literally is like I'm listening to, like, a red fascist video. Yes, that is true.
Ukraine could do, regardless of what kind of escalation of war we are encouraging as, their Western ally. Since Russia bad and Ukraine good, we have to cheerlead everything that Ukraine's doing. No, I don't comply to that. And I think that's stupid, unnuanced thinking. Go ahead and get mad about it.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks.
Okay, so to the people who didn't understand why I was going after this video, do you understand now? It's not like whether or not Ukraine did the pipeline or whatever, Nord Stream. It's that this is like everything from the beginning of this video to the end was a setup to continue like Russian propaganda, anti-Ukrainian screed bullshit with no like rigor or discipline or consistency. It's just wow. I don't know what's going on with them, man. I also like how for these videos they've set the comments to sort by new to begin with, which means that they can't get like comments piling up with 1,000 likes up here telling them that they're full of shit. Did they do that with their older videos? Have they done that like forever, or is this a more recent change? I guess that would be like a channel-wide thing, right? Yeah, it'd be a channel-wide thing, so it wouldn't even be possible to know when they changed it. Oh, you can do that on a per-video basis? I feel like that's new. Can you not sort by popular? Yeah, but it's not sorted by popular by default. They want Michael Tracy back. They want him back. They want to get the energy back. Wagner's been calling for the execution of Russian military generals. Prigozhin calls for Russia's chief of general staff, Gerasimov, and defense minister Shoigu to face execution by firing squad. Interesting. The European Parliament is preparing to vote to designate Prigozhin's Wagner PMC as a terrorist group. Once the law goes into effect, all Wagner PMC members will be forever hunted all over the globe on land, sea, and air. I don't know how much effect that'll actually have. It would be pretty funny, though. Probably a good idea. Anna is also against 15-minute cities. No way. Really? No shot. I need to see that. Where would I even see that? I don't see anything like that. Yeah, if I see it, I see it. If until then, I can't believe it. Do they really not have a video on the dam? Did I just miss it? The dam gets blown and they put out a Nord Stream video? Maybe they haven't posted it yet? Yeah, I guess so. They might not like immediately post that stuff. Yeah, it could be like one day out. Yeah. Will you react to Destiny debating Cenk from TYT yesterday? He got destroyed. Of course Destiny got destroyed. Cenk is at least like twice as heavy as Destiny. In any direct physical competition between the two, Destiny would have no chance. Have you seen how meaty Cenk is? I mean, I don't know if I could beat Cenk in a fight. I mean, he's a lot older than me. Maybe I'm a little more spry, but he's built like Kingpin from Spider-Verse. You know, I mean, he's a big, thick guy. So yeah, it makes sense.